Hello and welcome back to 90 Plus 1. What shall we talk about this week? We might as well do that then, I guess. 1. Juventus was founded in Turin in 1897. 2. The club was founded by pupils of the Massimo d'Azeglio Lyceum School in Turin. 3. Their first ever official match was a 1-0 loss to Torinese. 4. Juventus means youth in Latin. 5. Originally, Juventus wore pink shirts with black ties. 6. However, in 1903 they were looking for new kits as washing had faded the old ones. One of the players, John Savage, who was English, wrote home asking a friend to send some shirts. The friend was a Notts County supporter and so sent out the club's black and white strip, and Juve have worn it ever since then. 7. In 1923, Fiat owner Edoardo Agnelli gained control of the club. The Agnelli family have owned the club in some shape or form since then. 8. Juventus won their first title in 1905. The season was 4 games long and Juve won 2 and drew 2, pipping Genoa by a point. 9. A star above a badge often represents 1 trophy won, but for Juve 1 star represents 10 trophies. They were the first football club to do this, adding the star in 1958. 10. They have since won a total of 33 titles, making them the most successful club in Italian football with 15 more Scudetti than second-placed AC Milan. 11. The first star was supposed to be added in 2011-12, when they technically won their 30th title. But with 2 of their titles being stripped from them due to the Italian refereeing scandal, President Andrea Agnelli got all sassy and replaced them with the words 31 on the pitch. 12. The Calciopoli scandal occurred when newspapers published transcripts that suggested Juventus general managers Luciano Muggi and Antonio Giraldo had worked with members of the Italian FA to give Juventus their preferred referees. The scandal implicated not only Juventus, but Milan, Fiorentina, Lazio, and Regina too. 13. Juventus' punishment included not only the stripping of the 2005 and 2006 titles, but they were also demoted to Serie B and started on -9. This was and still is the only time Juventus have ever been in Serie B. They were promoted champions with 3 games remaining. 14. Because life is cruel and unfair, this meant Juventus were the first winners of the Ali della Vittoria Cup, designed that year for the winners of the Serie B. 15. When they were relegated, there was unsurprisingly an exodus of players. Zlatan, Emerson, Zambrotta, Vieira, Mutu, Cannavaro and Lilian Thuram all left the club. 16. However, Del Piero, Buffon, Trezeguet and Nedved all remained loyal. This was the season that allowed players such as Chiellini, Marchisio and Sebastião Giovinco to become first-team regulars. 17. In 2011, investigations found that Juventus' relegation was without merit, when Luciano Moggi's conviction was thrown out. Juve sued the Italian FA for €443 million in damages caused by their relegation. The case was thrown out as well. 18. It's not a fact, it's a poll. Whee! In this week's poll, I want to know if you think Juventus deserve to have 2 titles stripped and be relegated. Or do you think they were innocent and should have their 2 trophies back? Vote now! I'm not entirely sure either way, so please don't send me any abuse. Cheers. 19. They're the only Italian side to have won 6 consecutive league titles. 20. They're the only club in the world to have won all possible confederation competitions and the club world title. 21. Juve have a ton of nicknames, including the Girlfriend of Italy, the Old Lady, and the Zebras. 22. The club's mascot is also a zebra, called J, though traditionally a ball appeared on the club's crest, as it is the symbol of Turin. 23. Juve are one of the 12 clubs to have won the Champions League more than once, winning in 1985 and 1996. 24. Their first European Cup win was marred by the Heysel Stadium disaster, which resulted in 39 dead, 600 injured, a 5-year ban for English clubs and a 6-year ban for Liverpool from European competition. 25. The tragedy began an hour before kickoff when Liverpool supporters charged at Juventus fans and breached the fence separating the two. Juventus fans rushed to run away, which resulted in a crush and eventually a concrete retaining wall collapsed. The game somehow still went ahead, with Juventus winning 1-0. 26. Both clubs had trouble properly acknowledging the disaster, and it took years before they did. It took until 2005 until the 2 sides met again in competitive competition. Liverpool fans held up a mosaic saying friendship, some Juve fans clapped, and some turned their backs. 27. They have appeared in 9 Champions League finals, more than any club except Milan and Real Madrid. 28. But they have lost in the final 7 times. a competition record. 29. There's a team in Bucharest also called Juventus, who can expect a lawsuit one day based on that badge. 30. They have the record for most wins in a season in Italy, winning 33 out of 38 matches. 31. Alessandro Del Piero is probably Juve's greatest ever player, making a record 705 appearances for the club. 32. He also holds the club's record for goals scored, with 290 for the Turin outfit. 33. Dino Zoff, I don't know, is the oldest player to have played for them, turning out at 41 years and 86 days old. Buffon isn't that far off beating that, but he said he'll retire this year unless Juve win the Champions League. No chance, mate. It's gonna be well, it's not, is it? It's gonna be PSG. You, Neymar, you big poop mouth.
Poop! Poop mouth! Poop out of your mouth!
34. Juve's youngest player to feature for them is Pietro Pastore. 35. Juve have broken the world transfer record 4 times. For Omar Savori in 1957, for Pietro Anastasi in 1968, for Roberto Baggio in 1990, and for Gianluca Vialli in 1992. 36. Omar Savori scored a double hat-trick for Juve, the most in a single match for the club. 37. Juventus players have won 8 Ballon d'Ors, more than any other club except Real Madrid and Barcelona. 38. Between 1982 and 1985, Juve players won the Ballon d'Or 4 times in a row, with Paolo Rossi winning 1 and Michel Platini picking up 3 in a row. 39. Juve have played at 7 different stadiums during their history, and currently occupy Juventus Stadium, clever name, how'd they come up with that? A ground built in 2011. 40. Their previous ground was the Stadio delle Alpi, which they shared for 16 years with rivals Torino. 41. Their current stadium, recently renamed the Allianz Stadium, not a better name, was built on the site of the Stadio delle Alpi, and is one of only 3 stadiums in Serie A that are owned by the clubs that play in them. 42. Juve's biggest win ever was a 15-0 hammering of Cento in 1927. 43. Juve's worst loss was an 8-0 home defeat to city rivals Torino in 1912. 44. They won 102 points in 2013-14, which is currently the record for most points in a 20-team league across all of Europe. 45. In 2011-12, under Antonio Conte, Juventus went through the domestic season unbeaten, becoming the 3rd Italian side to achieve the feat, after Milan in 1992 and Perugia in 1979, who somehow didn't manage to win the title. 46. Conte has the best record of any Serie A manager, taking 2.24 points per game in Italy. 47. He was banned in 2012 for 10 games by the Italian FA for apparently being complicit in match fixing at his previous club Siena. Juventus appealed and got it reduced to 4 months. The Juventus players then dedicated their Supercoppa Italiana to Conte. In May 2016, he was acquitted of all match fixing charges. 48. This season, Juve fielded the most expensive 11 in Serie A history in a 2-1 victory over Benevento. Their lineup cost €337.5 million, 60 million more than the previous record. 49. Juve have had 35 permanent managers, and the best win percentage belongs to Didier Deschamps, who won 70% of his 44 games in charge. That was Serie B though, mate, so Keith from Slough reckons he could do that with that team. Psst, he couldn't. 50. Their first ever manager was Hungarian Geno Karoli. It's got to be a combination of whatever I just said. 51. However, when Didier Deschamps took charge, he was their first non-Italian manager since 1974. They haven't had a foreign manager since he left. 52. Because the club is supported across the whole of Italy, Juventus has often been seen as a symbol of unity and Italianness. 53. Juve's biggest rivalry has traditionally been with Torino in the Derby della Mole.
Mole, 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 mole.
54. Torino were actually created out of Juve. There was a split in the club in 1906 when some staff considered moving Juve out of Turin. Juve's president then buggered off with some of the players and founded Torino, which is also still in Turin. So what the 55. The top scorer in that derby is Bonaparte, scoring 14 for the old lady. 56. The most mental match between the two sides was an 8-6 Torino win in 1913. 57. They also contest the Derby d'Italia with Inter and have a strong rivalry with Milan. 58. They may all be rivals, but astonishingly, 11 players have played for all 3 clubs. 59. Club legend Gianluigi Buffon holds the record for clean sheets in Serie A with 288. 60. Two Juve keepers hold 3 of the top 10 longest consecutive runs without conceding a goal. 61. Ferenc Herzer scored the most for Juve in a single season, with Higuain in second place after last season. 62. Giovanni Trapattoni is their longest serving manager, presiding over 596 games in 2 spells as manager. 63. Their shortest serving manager is Luis Carniglia. 64. Juventus managers have won Serie A Coach of the Year every year from 2012 to 2016. 65. They've also won Serie A Club of the Year every year since 2012. I would have chosen Sampdoria, to be honest. Nicer kit. Just different, innit? That stripe. Lovely. 66. They broke the transfer fee record again in 2001, but this time they were the selling club, selling Zinedine Zidane for 77.5 million to Real Madrid. 67. They broke it again in 2016 when they sold Pogba for 105 million euros. Bargain, mate. Absolute bargain. 68. They invested that obscene amount, which pretty much set football transfers mental from then on Napoli's Higuain, making him at the time the 3rd highest transfer of all time, and currently the highest ever transfer for an Italian club. 69. People always forget about goalkeepers, always left at the back to do all the dirty work, but lovely old Juve appreciated them all the way back in 2001, signing Buffon for 52 million euros, breaking the record for a goalkeeper at the time. 70. They have a very successful academy under Vincenzo Chiarenza. The under-20 squad won all possible competitions between 2004 and 2006. 71. Their most feared player ever is Jose Altafini, who scored 17 in 24 against them, until they decided to just buy him. I mean, that's a pretty good transfer policy to have, to be honest. Oh, that bloke keeps scoring against us, what shall we do? Buy him? Then he can't. You're a f***ing genius. 72. Referee Luca Banti, Banti probably isn't the old lady's bestest mate, considering he's shown a straight red to more Juve players than any other referee. 73. They're 1 game shy of playing 200 games against Inter Milan, the team they have played the most and also beaten the most. 74. They've lost 57 times to Inter, but that's less than they've lost to AC Milan, the team they've lost to the most. 75. Retired centre-back Paolo Montero received the most red cards for the Italian Notts County. 76. In the 2017-18 season, Juventus had 54 players out on loan, including 8 goalkeepers, 16 defenders, 11 midfielders, and 17 strikers. 77. The most coveted number at Juve is the number 10, currently worn by Paulo Dybala. Former holders of the jersey include Paul Pogba, Carlos Tevez, Del Piero, Roberto Baggio, Michel Platini, Gaetano Scirea, and Fabio Capello. 78. Juve have bought more players from Atalanta than from any other club. 79. They've also sold more players to Atalanta than anyone else, with 35. 80. Juventus is the 9th most valuable club in the world at 1.26 billion. 81. Juve's new badge was not well received by most people. Created by President... Wow, hold on. Look at that monobrow. Good God, man. Just like... It cost £2 for a razor, mate. Cool, that's much better. Jesus. Agnelli modernised the badge to make Juventus more lucrative to international markets. 82. They are the best supported club in Italy with over 12 million fans. That's approximately 34% of all Italian football fans. 83. Juventus fans have long organised themselves into so-called ultra groups ever since the 70s. The first 2 ultra groups were called the Fossa dei Campioni and the Panthers. 84. Juve have won the Coppa Italia a record 12 times, becoming the first team to retain the trophy back in 1959-60. 85. In 2016-17, they became the first and only team to win the Coppa Italia in 3 consecutive seasons. 86. The club also has a record for Super Coppa Italia wins with 7. If you couldn't tell by now, Juve are bloody good at winning 87. They're the only club in Italian football to have won a European trophy with an entirely Italian squad. 88. Juventus have been given the honour of World Club Team of the Year twice. 89. The Old Lady outfit are the club that have contributed the most players to the Italian national team throughout history. 90. They're also the only club to have contributed a player to every single Italian national team since the 2nd ever World Cup. 91. The Zebras have supplied the most FIFA World Cup winners globally with 24. And that is it. I've been Kieran. I'm terrible at pronouncing Italian names. I'm absolutely starving, and I'm off. Don't forget to subscribe, alright? I miss John Babb. I wish he would go back on Stat Wars.